Next, for swimming, have been nominated for the World List of Geological Museums. So, in a few minutes we will disembark at the small natural port of Nea Kameni Island. As soon as we disembark, we will pay the entrance fee to the volcano. It's a National Geological Park, so we have to pay for the entrance fee, €5 per person. You can pay by credit card or cash. And then those of you who wish to listen to the English tour, they can follow me so that we can all make our way up to the crater. The distance we will walk is about 1 kilometer to the top of the island. It's about 1 kilometer and more or less 300 meters. It will take us about 25 minutes for reaching the top of the island.
L'acqua ce l'abbiamo, non abbiamo le scarpe perché siamo delusi.
On peut laisser nos sacs là peut-être.
Hein?
Parce que là on va pas se baigner, on peut peut-être laisser nos sacs là.
Oui, qu'est-ce qu'on va faire avec le sac là?
On n'emmène que l'eau.
Hein?
On n'emmène que l'eau.
Oui.
Regarde là, tu peux peut-être prendre là, avec le lit là.
Il n'y a rien. C'est que des cailloux.
Ouais, c'est vrai que
Et l'eau, elle va se remplir.
on prendra là-bas.
Putain, mais 35 minutes pour monter là-haut.
Donc, je prends la grande bouteille d'eau. Je prends une petite.
Ladies and gentlemen, as we get closer to the small natural port of Nea Kameni Island, let me remind you that the departure time from this point is 11:45. 11:45, we must be on board on Alki on board number 46. You can leave your stuff, your personal belongings on board, but please we don't leave money or valuable things. Pay attention, our boat, Alki on 46, will be stopped at the pier number 2 to the left. Pier number 2. Pier number 1 is to the right. So on your way back, we're looking for pier number 2 to the left. Okay? Mesdames et messieurs, je vais vous rappeler l'heure de notre départ d'ici, c'est 11h45. Notre bateau Alkion 46, l'arrêt sera arrêté au port numéro 2 à gauche. Ok? Pour votre retour, vous cherchez.
Una borsa di tela per prestarmi.
Io però dovrei smontare.
Sono grandi.
T'as vu le comment elle est belle? Non, 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 faut que tu marches un peu. Faut que tu marches un peu. Un petit peu déjà. Donne mon téléphone.
Can you get one? All night.
First, in English. Je répète toute l'histoire en français, on a le temps de tout écouter, ne vous inquiétez pas les français, les francophones. Ripetono anche in italiano, mi sembra che capirete qualcosa in inglese o in francese, però l'idea di Santorini la diciamo anche in italiano. So, we're in a volcanic place on a volcanic island named Nea Kameni, how say in Greek, and we need to know what Nea Kameni means. Nea Kameni means in Greek new. Nea means new, burned, new, burned. Why new and why burned? We call this volcanic island new because it has been formed in the last 430 years, recently, through geological events that took place in 6 different time periods. We call this island burned because obviously it consists of volcanic rock formation. Everything is lava. So new burned island has a unique makeup, as we will see, and even greater geological importance because it's the most recent volcanic formation in the Mediterranean. It is still an active volcanic center whose the oldest rock formation date back about 450 years, while the most recent ones date back just 74 years. 74 years, it's a baby island. And this baby volcanic island has been characterized as a national volcanic geological park, actually one of the most important in Europe. Close to the active crater, we will understand the meaning of a geological volcanic park because we will see around the active crater a lot of mechanical equipment with sensors of temperature deep inside there which measure continuously the volcanic activity and give us a lot of valuable information concerning the activity. The scientists from all over the world who work up there and monitor the volcanic activity on a daily basis claim that in order for reliable conclusions to be drawn, measurements have to be taken within a 12 months period. So all the measurements of the last 12 months indicate that the active crater we're going to visit in a few minutes, don't expect to see a flowing lava show. No, no, fortunately no. Just a smoking crater. Remains active but dormant. Like the whole area of Santorini Islands, which has also remained active but dormant. So scientists believe that we can feel safe for the moment. At least for today you have nothing to worry about, it's a deal, but for sure in the future we're going to have geological events up here. Up to now, only God knows when, because you know both sciences, technology and technology, are sciences that rely on measurements and statistics. And that's why neither volcanic eruptions nor earthquakes have been predicted anywhere in the world up to today. We hope in the future. 5 craters on New Burned Island. Just one of them at the top of the island is the active one, named George I, because George I was the king of Greece during the period of its first eruption. The active crater has been formed in August of 1866 after 2 hydrothermal eruptions. Gases, erupted for the last time in January of 1950. That was the last eruption, January of 1950. The last eruption lasted more or less 1 month, so 43 people were dead on the main island of Thira after the last eruption because of breath problems due to the gases. Okay. Since then, since 1950, the whole area of Santorini Island remains active but dormant. This is the first crater we come across. You can see that isn't active anymore. This crater erupted for the first time about 430 years ago. So the formation of this island began after that eruption. In about 2-3 minutes we will continue our ascent towards the active crater. It will take about 10-11 minutes, not so far, for reaching the active crater. And then in about 40-50 meters after the active crater, you will reach the top of this island, highest point, 127 meters from the sea level. It's not too high. But for me, the top of this island is the most beautiful point on Santorini area, a place with a really breathtaking view. I'm sure you'll never forget that point. Up there, besides the magical view, you'll enjoy a great view of 360 degrees. You will understand what Santorini is. Because Santorini is not a unique island. Santorini is a complex composed by 5 islands plus the sea, the caldera of Santorini. To understand what we call Santorini, we need to know that there are 2 historical periods concerning the whole area. First historical period, before the big eruption of 3,600 years ago. We are talking about the Minoan eruption of 3,600 years ago, still considered as the worst geological event ever in human history. And then there's the second historical period, which begins just after the big eruption of 3,600 years ago. If you want to imagine the whole area during the first historical period, before the big eruption of 3,600 years ago, so during that period the whole area was completely different. During the first historical period, we can see the whole area as one island. There's no sea, there's no caldera, there's just one island all around, named Strongili because of its shape, because Strongili in Greek means rounded. So the old island existing during the first historical period before the big eruption was almost rounded, and its name was Strongili. And now we can see the remains of the old Strongili island after the big eruption, and because of that geological event, given the Minoan eruption by a supercrater, there are 5 supercraters all over the world, like Yellowstone, like Krakatoa, like New Zealand. You can see the whole Santorini caldera as a supercrater. This is the main part of the supercrater that gave the big eruption of 3,600 years ago. So this is the main idea of the formation of Santorini Islands. What we can see now is the remains of the old Strongili Island after the big eruption of 3,600 years ago, which consists of 3 islands. Bigger one, the most important, the island where you enjoy your holiday, your vacation on it, named? Huh? Yes, the island of Thira. Santorini is a complex. This is the island of Thira, main island of Santorini complex. Why we call this island Thira? Because for about 800 years after the big eruption, the whole area remains inhabited. First inhabitant on this island after about 800 years after the big eruption was the king of ancient Sparta, Leonid 300, King Tiras. That's why we call this island Tira. And its first capital after the period of the big eruption was the village of ancient Tira, the other side of the island, close to Kamari. It's very enjoyable, very interesting walking up there. Today's capital, the village of Fira, which is the capital of the whole complex of Santorini Island since the beginning of the previous century. So, island of Tira, main island of Santorini complex, it's today capital, the village of Fira. Second island remained, which was also part of the Old Songili Island during the first historical period. The island we're going to visit later in order to enjoy our lunch on it with a small white village at the top named Thirassia. According to Greek history, Thirassia was the name of King Tira's daughter. Tira, Thirassia, father and daughter. It's like a fairy tale, but this is the true story. And then in a few minutes from the top of the island, the other side, we will see a very small inhabited island, just a rock, which was also part of the Old Songili Island during the first historical period, named Aspronisi, how say in Greek, meaning white island. Why we call this small inhabited island white island? You will see that it's composed by white pumice-stone on a basis of lava rock. So those three islands, main island of Tira, Thirassia Island, father, daughter, and the White Island were part of the Old Songili Island during the first historical period. The missing part of the Old Songili Island after the big eruption sank, collapsed to the bottom of the sea in a depth of 500-600 meters. This is the depth, deepest point of Santorini and Caldera. 500-600 meters. We are talking about the deepest caldera all over the world. Sounds incredible, but this is the true story. The whole island collapsed because of a geological event. The question is, what really happens with all this huge volcanic energy during the second historical period, after the big eruption? The answer is that obviously this energy is always here, especially the locals who are used to live with this energy, it's a little bit risky living up here, has continued to create geological events throughout the years. That's how it was formed about 2,000 years ago, after a unique volcanic eruption, the other volcanic island, which we will visit next for swimming in the Bay of Hot Springs, named Paleakameni, how say in Greek, meaning old burnt, new burnt, old burnt, and the same volcanic energy still remains the reason of the formation of New Burnt Island the last 430 years, but in 6 different time periods. And especially New Burnt Island will continue in the future changing its shape because still remains an active volcanic center. That's why we are continuously measuring the volcanic activity up there. On the other hand, the Old Burnt Island, which we will visit next, isn't active anymore. We already have an idea of what we call Santorini. Santorini is that complex composed by those 5 islands plus the sea. 3 islands remained on the region after the big eruption that were part of the old island existing during the first historical period. Tira, Thirassia, White Island, plus those 2 volcanic islands, 2 mountains of lava, Old Burn, formed, which we will visit next, formed more or less 2,000 years ago after a unique volcanic eruption in which isn't active anymore, a new burn still creating the last 430 years. That's what we call Santorini. Last information for the English group. We've just taken an idea of what we call Santorini. In order to take much more information concerning the whole story, it's like a recommendation. You have 2 options of visiting 2 very important places, 2 very important museums of Santorini. First, archaeological site of Akrotiri. Have you been there? No one. Huh? Interesting. Considered as one of the most important Greek museums after the Museum of Acropolis in Athens. In that place, you can take a lot of information concerning an extremely advanced civilization which was thriving up here. We are talking about a period of time of 4,000-5,000 years ago. Second option, a modern museum, the opposite, named Lost Atlantis Museum. Something very new, very exciting, in a modern way of presenting history. On your way to the beach, after Megalochori village, Lost Atlantis Museum, which is a kind of 3D movie, but moving church, just for taking the feeling of a huge geological event like the Minoan eruption. The idea of this modern museum is not listen to the story like we do it now, but trying to live the story. Okay, you can combine a visit in both museums, 45-50 minutes last a visit in each museum. First, after Megalochori village, on your way to the beach, Lost Atlantis Museum, and then 3 kilometers away, Akrotiri village, one of the most important Greek museums. So now, I'm giving information in French, so the English group, you don't have to wait. It's one way, listen. About 10, 11 minutes, yeah, from there to the top is about 2 seconds. from the top to our boat, pier number 2, pay attention. It will take about 25 minutes. If you need more information later on board, you can ask me anything. Thank you. Pier number 2, 11:45.
Baka po, tanong ko sa guide.
May mga stick na yun. I think this is
No, vabbè, dai.
Bouteille d'eau, ça?
Ladies and gentlemen, after the volcano hiking, after the swimming, I hope the swimmers, you really enjoyed your swimming in the bay of not so hot springs, don't you? Just warmer springs. So, after the volcano hiking, after the swimming experience, time for a good lunch. Are you hungry or not yet? A little bit. We have left behind us, we have just left behind us Old Bird Island. We are on our way to Thirassia. Second island remained on the region after the Minoan eruption of 3,600 years ago. On Thirassia Island, they live today about 250 inhabitants who are farmers and fishermen. They live in a small traditional village we can already see at the top of the island, named Manolas, which is the capital of Thirassia Island, the village of Manolas. Let me inform you that we will have about more or less 2 hours of free time for visiting Thirassia Island at 3:15, we must be again on board on Alkion boat number 46, so that we can continue our boat trip towards the village of Ia. We can already see Ia village to the right, one of the most beautiful places in Greece. We are not getting off in the village of Fira. We just passed by for taking some pictures. So, departure time, 3:15. Always the most important. Mesdames et messieurs, tout droit maintenant, on voit une toute petite plage, mais très fameuse ici à Santorin, nommée Eftapedes, comme on dit en grec, qui signifie la plage de cet ami. Une petite chapelle construite sur cette plage, le chapelle de cet ami. L'histoire de cet ami qui, à l'époque, beaucoup d'années avant, après une grande aventure dans la mer, ont été sauvés ici, sur cette plage, et ont réussi de survivre ici pour 11 jours. Et puis, comme mémoire de leur aventure, on construit le petit chapelle qu'on voit, le chapelle de cet ami, comme on dit, qui fête chaque année le 4e août. Il est...
Trovare casa.